Hey everybody, me again. Wanted to update everyone who is curious about Reece and what's going on. The first most common question we've been asked is what kind of tumor Reece has. It's called I'm looking at it, sorry, it's called an ependymoma. Ependymoma. It is most common in children and it's most commonly found in the area where they found it in Reece, which is the brainstem and then leading towards the spinal cord, which this one was growing towards. Um, this particular ependymoma was benign. However, we talked to the neurosurgeon before we got to leave the hospital, and he said that the tumor in the pathology, the DNA pathology, they noticed some division of cells that are very unusual for this type of tumor. So they are doing further testing on it. Does not change his um, treatment plan right now, and it may only change how closely they watch the tumor that is remaining and watch him after the tumor has been completely eradicated from his body with the chemotherapy or potentially radiation, depending on what they decide. Reece is home. He came home yesterday on June 2nd. He was very happy to be home. He has been very mellow. He started running a low grade fever today, not high enough for us to take him to the doctor, but just enough for him to feel blah and laying about and not talking much and not eating much today. So we're obviously a little worried about him, keeping an eye on him. If his temperature gets to 101, we are to take him back to the hospital and they will hook him back up to IV and that kind of thing. So we're praying that that does not happen and that he's just running a little warm right now. There's not a whole lot to add other than he's got a lot of treatment ahead of him. The next MRI is in 6 weeks. That is to see what his brain looks like without the swelling. And then they can really see exactly how much of the tumor is left. And that's when they'll decide also how aggressive they'll have to be with the chemotherapy, how often we'll have to go in, um, that sort of thing. So we don't know anything about that at this time. Um, he is not going back to school. He has been promoted to fourth grade. His teacher, Mrs. Hom, and the school itself, his principal, Mr. Douglas, and staff have just been very wonderful about everything that's going on. Super supportive, and we're looking forward to him attending there next year. And anytime he has to miss, we've already talked to them about it. They're going to provide whatever is needed to help him have a successful school year next year. In the meantime, he doesn't have to worry about EOGs or anything else. Um, those of you who know Reece know that he's usually very vivacious, a gregarious kind of kid, and right now he is super low. He is feeling a little blue. He's doesn't feel like himself. He stares at himself in the mirror and looks a little dumbfounded, which I hate. Um, I wish I could fix that for him. He has paralysis on the left side of his face, and um, there really hasn't been an improvement in that. But the doctor really did say weeks, months, potentially up to a year before those nerves restore. So it's not going to be days. So those of you who do get to talk to him and see him regularly, keep that in mind. He is more difficult to understand because he can't use his whole mouth. He gets frustrated with us because he has to repeat himself more often. He does try to talk very fast, which is something he used to do before the tumor. And we had to tell him that we know that he talks fast normally, but he needs to slow down because his speech is difficult to understand. So if he does, again, those of you who get to see him and spend time with him, if he does sound brusque when he has to repeat himself, it's because he does get frustrated because he's not used to having to do that. And it's hard on a 9-year-old to have to not only deal with looking different and feeling different, but also sounding different as well. Um, Overall, we're optimistic about how quickly they can deal with the remaining tumor. Time will really only tell, but the doctors, everybody has said he's made a remarkable recovery so far. He said he wasn't going to be in the hospital long, and he wasn't. He was there a day less than what they consider the shortest visit. His physical therapists, the surgical team had said on day 3 that he could go home if it were just based on the surgical team. But everything had to come together. You had the physical therapist, the occupational therapist, the speech therapist, and the nurses all had to also sign off on him going home. And he would have gone home Sunday if it weren't for his speech therapist, who held him there till Monday because she was worried about his eating. Every time she came to visit, he would cough and choke a little on his food. Being paralyzed on the left side, obviously eating is a little more challenging, but he wasn't doing it any other time. We were all frustrated because only when she showed up did he ever show any signs of distress while eating. And so she made him stay until Monday and observe him eating breakfast, and then decided that he could go home. His physical therapist was told us she was amazed at his progress. She said that she deals with kids with this kind of surgery, not necessarily the same tumor or the same placement, but the same kind of surgery. And Reece is responding much better than most kids in his age group do, or even older kids. In physical therapy, he's walking stairs, and I'll post some pictures on Facebook. He walked some stairs, he shot some baskets, he kicked a soccer ball. All of this is with aid. He cannot walk on his own at all. Um, but she said most of the time when kids his age or kids who have this kind of surgery come in, it's all they can do to cajole them into sitting up. And Reece, they didn't have to do any of that. He was just ready to do what he needed to do so he could come home. So I was very gratified to hear it. Our doctors have said 2 months is what they predict his recovery is before he starts feeling like himself, before he can maybe walk and talk and, or not talk, but walk and run around on his own. Um, and I asked the physical therapist what she thought of that prognosis, since they're the ones who see the kids in their mobility and what kind of issues they have. And she said most of the time that is just a very optimistic expectation for kids after this kind of surgery. Usually it's around 6 months. But she said, based on Reese's progress so far, that she thought that 2 months was a very realistic expectation for him to be walking on his own and to being able to function on his own. So I'm very excited about that. In the meantime, Reese is in a wheelchair. He will be in a wheelchair until the physical therapist sign off on it. And a lot of that has to do with two things. First of all, he's dizzy when he's up for any extended period of time. He has a little, think about it, if you have if you get up quickly and you stand up and how everything spins, well, he feels like that all the time. So that makes it very difficult for him to walk. And the other thing is that because of the his upper body is paralyzed, and I'm saying neck up, but below that, it's a weakness rather than a paralysis, which is wonderful. But in the meantime, it means when he's walking, you know how your feet go like this, his left foot goes like this, so it's constantly in the way when he's walking. So he has to actually keep being told to straighten his foot because it immediately drifts to that side. So that's another thing that he's going to have to work on. Part of his physical therapy is going to be lifting weights and walking and climbing stairs and that kind of thing, and focusing a lot on left side use because that's definitely his weaker side. I think I covered everything. Please, if you have any questions, as always, let me know and I will be happy to answer in whatever way that I can. And I hope everybody has a great day. And thank you, thank you, thank you again for all your thoughts, your prayers, people who are bringing us food. It has been so very helpful. We didn't know how badly we would need it until we got Reese home and realized just how intensive he needs, how much he needs our attention. So we'll continue to be thankful for that for as long as people are able and willing to do it. And as soon as Reese is able, I was hoping he would be able to fill up to it today to speak to everybody, but he wasn't. So I am hoping that tomorrow he will be willing to do a short little video and say hello, and then especially people who haven't seen him yet, can kind of get an idea of how he's acting and behaving and help that will they first see him. So I hope you guys have a great day and love you all. Bye.